Imagine this. You're lying in bed. The door is locked. The windows are secure. Your bank account is stable. Your relationships are intact. There's no fire, no intruder, no disease ravaging your body. By every objective measure, you are safe. And yet, your heart is racing. Your chest feels tight. Your mind spirals through a catalog of disasters that haven't happened and probably never will. The text your friend didn't reply to becomes evidence of abandonment. The slight headache becomes a brain tumor. The silence in your home becomes the prelude to catastrophe. You are safer than 99.9% of humans who have ever lived. You have shelter, food, medicine, security. And yet, in this moment, you feel hunted. Why? Why does your mind manufacture fear when there's nothing to fear? Why does safety itself sometimes feel like the most dangerous thing? And what does it mean that the most advanced threat detection system in the natural world, your brain, can't tell the difference between a lion in the grass and an unanswered email? Today, we're diving into one of the most disturbing paradoxes of human consciousness: why your mind creates fear even when life is safe. And by the end, you might realize that the very thing trying to protect you is the thing you need protection from. Let's start with a simple truth. Your brain is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. And for 99% of human history, those two things were basically the same. Happiness was a byproduct of survival. Food meant joy, safety meant contentment, reproduction meant fulfillment. But survival always came first. Because a happy dead person is still dead. So evolution built into your skull the most sophisticated threat detection system in the animal kingdom, the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's security guard. It never sleeps. It never takes a break. It scans every sight, sound, smell, and sensation for danger. And here's the critical part. It would rather have 1,000 false alarms than miss one real threat. Imagine you're an early human walking through tall grass. You see a shape. Is it a rock or a lion? If you assume it's a rock and you're wrong, you're lunch. Game over. Your genes don't get passed on. But if you assume it's a lion and you're wrong, you jump back, your heart pounds, you waste some energy. Embarrassing, maybe. But you're alive. So evolution favored the paranoid, the anxious, the ones who saw danger everywhere. The calm, rational humans who waited to gather more data before reacting? They got eaten. You are the descendant of the nervous ones, the ones who ran from shadows. And that's the problem. Because your amygdala can't tell the difference between a lion and a notification. It can't distinguish between a physical threat and a social one. It doesn't know that the email from your boss isn't going to kill you. It just knows, alert. Something unexpected. Potential danger. Prepare for threat. So your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes. Your muscles tense. Your digestion shuts down. Blood flow redirects from your brain's rational centers to your survival centers. You enter fight or flight mode. All because of an email. This is the phantom predator. The ghost in your nervous system. A threat detection mechanism so sensitive, so primed for danger, that it creates fear out of nothing. It sees lions in every shadow, catastrophe in every unexpected sound, death in every moment of uncertainty. And here's what makes it even more insidious. The amygdala learns. Every time you feel anxious and nothing bad happens, your brain doesn't think, "Oh, false alarm, I can relax." Instead, it thinks, "Wow, I was anxious and I survived. The anxiety must have saved me. Better do that again." It's a self-reinforcing loop. Fear creates more fear. Anxiety validates itself. And slowly, imperceptibly, your life shrinks. You avoid situations that trigger the alarm. You stay in your comfort zone. You create safety buffers and contingency plans and backup strategies. And still, the fear persists. Because the phantom predator doesn't care that you're safe. It only cares that you might not be. And in a world of infinite information, infinite possibilities, infinite what-ifs, there's always something to fear. Now here's where it gets truly disturbing. The very things that make modern life safe are the things that make your brain panic. Anthropologists call this the evolutionary mismatch theory. The idea is simple. Your hardware, your brain, your nervous system, your emotional responses evolved over millions of years in a very specific environment. Small tribes, constant physical danger, immediate feedback, clear threats. But your software, modern civilization, technology, social media, global news, existential complexity, was built in about 200 years. You're running Stone Age programming in a digital world. And the glitches are everywhere. Let's take one example, lack of immediate physical danger. For most of human history, fear had a shelf life. A lion appears. You run. You escape. The danger passes. Your nervous system resets. The fear ends. But modern fears, they don't end. They don't have a resolution. The fear of losing your job. The fear of social rejection. The fear of missing out. The fear of being ordinary. The fear of dying alone, unloved, insignificant. These fears can't be outrun. They can't be fought. They just linger. They hover in the background of your consciousness like a low-grade infection. And your amygdala, designed for short bursts of acute terror, is now running 24/7 in a state of chronic activation. Or consider abundance. Your ancestors faced scarcity. Food was uncertain. Shelter was temporary. Danger was obvious and external. So your brain evolved to feel relief in moments of abundance and safety. But now, you have more food than you can eat. More entertainment than you can consume. More choices than you can process. And instead of relief, you feel overwhelmed. Analysis paralysis. The tyranny of choice. The fear that you're missing out, that you're not optimizing, that you're wasting your one precious life. Your brain looks at abundance and thinks, this can't last. Something bad must be coming. Because for 99% of history, that was true. Good times were followed by famine, by winter, by war. So even in safety, your mind scans for threats. It invents problems to solve because a brain without problems to solve is a brain that's missing something. And then there's information overload. Your ancestors lived in tribes of 50 to 150 people. They knew everyone. They understood their social position. Gossip was local and manageable. But you're exposed to thousands of faces, opinions, disasters, and comparisons every single day. Your brain still thinks every person you see is someone you need to monitor, evaluate, compare yourself to. Every disaster you hear about feels like a personal threat because your amygdala doesn't understand the concept of far away. A tsunami in Japan. A school shooting in another state. A pandemic. Economic collapse. Climate catastrophe. War. Famine. Injustice. Your nervous system treats all of it as immediate, personal, actionable threats. But you can't do anything about most of it. So the fear just accumulates, layer upon layer, until the baseline state of your nervous system isn't calm. It's vigilant, tense, waiting. This is the evolutionary trap. The safer your external environment becomes, the more your internal environment compensates by generating new fears. Because a threat detection system that has nothing to detect doesn't turn off. It redirects. Let's conduct a thought experiment. Imagine a species that solves all its survival problems. Food is unlimited. Shelter is guaranteed. Predators are extinct. Disease is cured. Safety is absolute. What happens to that species? You might think, utopia, bliss, pure contentment. But here's what psychologists actually observe again and again. Comfort breeds new suffering. It's called the hedonic treadmill, or hedonic adaptation. The idea that humans quickly adapt to positive changes and return to a baseline level of happiness or unhappiness. You get the promotion, the relationship, the house. You feel great for a few weeks. Then it becomes normal. And you need something more. But it's deeper than that. It's not just that comfort stops feeling good. It's that comfort itself becomes a source of anxiety. Let me explain. When your life is genuinely dangerous, you have clarity. The threats are obvious. Your actions have clear purpose. Survive. Protect your family. Get food. Avoid predators. There's a brutal simplicity to it. But when your life is safe, when your survival needs are met, your brain doesn't stop asking, "What's the threat?" It just gets creative. Now the threats become abstract, invisible, psychological. Am I successful enough? Do people respect me? Am I living my purpose? What if I'm wasting my potential? What if I get sick someday? What if my children suffer? What if I'm not as happy as I should be? Notice something? These aren't threats. They're interpretations of your life. Stories you tell yourself about hypothetical futures, about social standing, about meaning. But your amygdala treats them like lions. This is the anxiety paradox. The removal of external danger doesn't remove the fear response. It just causes your mind to turn inward, to hunt for threats in your thoughts, your feelings, your identity, your future. And here's the cruelest part, the fear of the fear. You start to fear your own anxiety. Why am I anxious when I have no reason to be? What's wrong with me? So now you're anxious about being anxious. Meta-anxiety, the fear that your mind is broken, that you're defective, that everyone else is fine and you're the only one falling apart. But you're not broken. You're human. And the human mind, in the absence of real danger, will create danger. Because it's better, from an evolutionary standpoint, to be anxious and alive than calm and dead. The problem is, you're never actually in danger. But your body doesn't know that. So it stays in a state of perpetual readiness for a threat that never comes. Imagine a smoke alarm that goes off every time you cook. At first, you panic. But after the 100th false alarm, you don't feel safer because the alarm is so sensitive. You feel tormented. You want to rip it off the wall. That's your relationship with your amygdala. Now let's talk about the most insidious form of fear, anticipatory anxiety. This is the fear of things that haven't happened. The fear of possibilities. The what-ifs. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I get sick? What if I'm wrong? What if I miss the opportunity? What if I make the wrong choice? Your mind, incredibly, has the ability to suffer over events that haven't occurred and may never occur. You can lie in bed, completely safe, and mentally live through a divorce you're not having, a job loss that hasn't happened, a diagnosis you don't have. This is a uniquely human capability. Animals don't do this. A gazelle that escapes a lion doesn't spend the next week imagining all the ways it could have died. It eats grass. It moves on. But you replay the past. You catastrophize the future. You live in a mental simulation of threats. And here's the philosophical horror of it. You think this is preparation. You think by imagining every worst-case scenario, you're protecting yourself. That by mentally rehearsing disaster, you'll somehow be ready for it. That anxiety is a form of control. But it's not. Anticipatory anxiety doesn't prepare you for the future. It robs you of the present. It's the psychological equivalent of wearing a bulletproof vest to bed because you might get shot in your sleep. Technically, you're protected. Practically, you're suffering for no reason. And the cruelest irony? Most of what you fear never happens. Studies show that 85% of the things people worry about never occur. And of the 15% that do, most people report handling it better than they imagined. So you're spending the majority of your mental energy suffering over phantom threats. And when real challenges do arise, your anxiety didn't help. If anything, it exhausted you. But evolution doesn't care. Because for your ancestors, the cost of over-preparing was low. The cost of under-preparing was death. So your brain is biased toward catastrophizing, toward assuming the worst, toward scanning the horizon for danger even when the horizon is clear. This is the shadow of what if. It's the ghost of futures that don't exist, haunting your present moment. And the more you engage with it, the more real it becomes. Because here's the thing, your brain can't distinguish between imagined threats and real ones. When you vividly imagine a disaster, your body responds as if it's happening. Cortisol, adrenaline, muscle tension, elevated heart rate. Emotionally, physiologically, you're experiencing the trauma of something that hasn't occurred. You're living in a nightmare of your own creation. And the more you do this, the more your brain learns, the world is dangerous. I need to stay vigilant. I need to keep imagining threats so I'm prepared. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fear creates the fear. And your life becomes a series of defensive maneuvers against threats that exist only in your mind. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. Meet Sarah. She's 32. Good job. Stable relationship. Healthy. By all accounts, her life is fine. Safe. Secure. And yet, it starts small. She wakes up one morning and notices her heart beating a little fast. Weird, she thinks. She Googles it. The internet, in its infinite wisdom, suggests anxiety, heart disease, thyroid disorder, panic disorder. Now she's aware of her heartbeat. She checks it throughout the day. Is it too fast? Too slow? Why does she feel dizzy? She goes to the doctor. Everything's normal. Probably stress, the doctor says. But that's not satisfying. Because if it's stress, what is she stressed about? Her life is fine. So maybe the doctor missed something. Maybe she needs more tests. She starts avoiding caffeine. Then sugar. Then she reads about cortisol and sleep, so she becomes obsessive about her sleep. But now she can't sleep because she's anxious about sleeping. She notices every sensation in her body. A twinge in her chest. A weird pain in her arm. Fatigue. Brain fog. Each symptom becomes evidence of something sinister. She starts canceling plans. The effort of pretending she's fine is exhausting. She stops going to the gym because what if she has a heart attack while exercising? She avoids driving long distances because what if she has a panic attack? Her world shrinks. And the cruelest part, nothing bad actually happens. She doesn't have a heart attack. She doesn't collapse. She doesn't die. But she's living in terror. Because her mind has created a threat so convincing, so vivid, so persistent, that her body believes it. The fear is real even though the danger isn't. This is what unchecked anticipatory anxiety does. It doesn't just make you afraid. It makes you architect your life around the fear. You build walls. You avoid risks. You trade possibility for the illusion of control. And the phantom predator in your skull nods approvingly. Good, it whispers. Stay small. Stay safe. Don't take chances. But here's the question Sarah, and maybe you, eventually faces. Is this safety? Or is this a different kind of prison? So why can't you just relax? Why, even when you logically know you're safe, does your body refuse to believe it? The answer lies in something called neuroception, a term coined by neuroscientist Stephen Porges. It's the process by which your nervous system evaluates safety and danger without conscious awareness. Before you even think, am I safe? Your body has already decided. And if your nervous system has been chronically activated, if you've spent months or years in a state of low-grade fear, it gets stuck. It's like a circuit breaker that won't reset. Your nervous system becomes biased toward threat. Even neutral stimuli start to register as dangerous. A friendly text feels like a demand. Silence feels like abandonment. Rest feels like laziness. Your body, quite literally, forgets how to feel safe. This is called chronic nervous system dysregulation. And it's epidemic in modern life. Because safety isn't just the absence of threat. It's the presence of signals that tell your body, you can relax. You're okay. You're not alone. But modern life is often isolating, transactional, fast-paced. You're surrounded by people but not truly connected. You're busy but not purposeful. You're informed but not empowered. Your nervous system scans for cues of safety, eye contact, physical touch, playfulness, genuine connection, rhythm, routine, and finds screens, algorithms, notifications, strangers. So it stays vigilant. And here's the truly disturbing part. Your brain is more motivated to avoid pain than to seek pleasure. Neuroscientist Rick Hanson describes the brain as Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Bad experiences stick. Good experiences slide off. Why? Because, again, evolution. Your ancestors who remembered where the predators were survived. The ones who just enjoyed the sunset got eaten. So your brain is biased toward threat, toward memory of pain, toward anticipation of danger. Even in safety, you're scanning for what could go wrong. And your brain, obligingly, will always find something. This is why gratitude practices, mindfulness, and positive psychology are so hard to sustain. You're fighting millions of years of evolutionary programming that says, forget the good. Remember the bad. Stay alert. It's not your fault that peace feels unnatural. Your brain literally wasn't built for it. So what do? If your brain is wired for fear, if safety triggers anxiety, if comfort breeds suffering, are you just doomed? Here's the paradox within the paradox. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. It's to change your relationship with it. Because fear, at its core, is information. It's your nervous system trying to protect you. The problem isn't the fear. It's the belief that the fear is always accurate. That every alarm is a real threat. The work, the deeply uncomfortable, profoundly human work, is learning to feel fear without obeying it. To notice anxiety without letting it dictate your choices. To acknowledge uncertainty without trying to control it. Because here's the truth you've been avoiding. You will never be completely safe. And that's okay. Life is uncertainty. Every moment contains the possibility of loss, pain, failure, death. You can build walls, avoid risks, micromanage every detail, and still, the universe is indifferent. Accidents happen. People leave. Bodies fail. Plans collapse. The question isn't, how do I become safe? The question is, how do I live fully in a world that offers no guarantees? And the answer, frustratingly, paradoxically, is this. You accept the fear. You make room for it. And you act anyway. Not because the fear goes away, but because you realize that waiting for certainty is another form of death. That a life lived in avoidance of fear is a life unlived. The phantom predator in your skull will never stop whispering. It will always see danger. It will always suggest retreat. But you, conscious, aware, human, get to decide whether to listen. Not by fighting the fear, but by thanking it for trying to protect you, and then choosing courage anyway. So here we are. You're lying in bed. The door is locked. The windows are secure. You're safe. And your mind is spinning with fears that don't exist. But now you understand why. You're not broken. You're not defective. You're not weak. You're human. You're the descendant of survivors, of the anxious ones, the vigilant ones, the ones who saw danger everywhere. And that legacy lives in your nervous system. It whispers to you in every moment of uncertainty. It floods your body with adrenaline when you're about to take a risk. It keeps you small, keeps you safe, keeps you alive. But here's the thing. Survival is not the same as living. And the very mechanism that kept your ancestors alive is now the thing you must learn to navigate, to understand, to compassionately work with. Because the world has changed. The threats are different. And the skills you need now, vulnerability, connection, creativity, risk-taking, are the exact opposite of what your amygdala wants. So the question isn't, why does my mind create fear when life is safe? The question is, now that I understand why, what will I do about it? Will you let the phantom predator dictate your life? Or will you acknowledge it, thank it, and step into the uncertainty anyway? Because on the other side of that fear, not the absence of it, but the willingness to move through it, is everything you actually want. Connection, purpose, growth, meaning, life, and maybe, just maybe, the kind of peace that doesn't come from the absence of danger, but from the courage to live despite it.